Everybody that was sitting in the ghetto that morning, he turned and he looked at me and he said, you, what are you doing here? And when that man asked me that question, that was it for me. I realized that if a madman can look at me in this state and realize that there is more to me than where I was, it means that I have to make a change. Wow. My name is Elisha Jayweh, alias Preacha Mann, and I'm a Christian hip hop rapper. I'm a gospel rapper. That's me. My past. I'm an addict in recovery, a former substance abuser, and it all started. It started out of ignorance, not being aware of the danger of the substance. So back in high school, I was kind of a cool kid, but as a young man, still trying to find my identity, and I needed people's approval. I needed my friends' approval. So the guys I was hanging out with, they started to avoid me at a certain point in time. So this day, because I began to feel isolated, I began to feel like those I looked up to did not want me around. So this day I told myself, I'll go see what the men are doing, man. I'll follow the men and go see where they can go. So out of my curiosity, I followed them, and when I went, I saw my friends in the ghetto, and at that moment they were only smoking weed. So when I got there, it was shocking to me. And then they were like, "Bro, you follow us, but you already you can't go by that. So you got to operate." So as a kid and a preacher's kid, like both my parents are pastors, so that instant kick in, I was like, "Bro, I can smoke." Yeah, and they said, "Well, you don't got to smoke. You can chew the substance." So my first encounter with drug, I had to chew it. It was just marijuana. So that was the beginning. That was the first time I can remember abusing the substance. And then after a while, I could not continue chewing the substance, chewing the weed behind them. So I decided to start to smoke it. So it started with just from chewing the substance and then smoking it. Then as a young man, something happened in my family. I lost my sister. I lost my kid sister, and I was very close to her. So not knowing how to process my emotion, not knowing how to deal with what happened, it pushed me further away into experimenting with the substance more. So after the funeral, the depression I was feeling, the too many questions on my mind, I turned to the higher substance. I started abusing tar in the street. They call it market, Italian white. Yeah, I got introduced to it by friends too from high school. So abusing Italian white, that was when I noticed the decline in my activity as a young man. My love for education started to go low. I started to spend more time in the ghetto. I started to withdraw from my family and to become, more into the street. So fast forward, I think that year I failed and I had to repeat the class. So repeating the class, dealing with the shame and all that, I added another substance to what I was already smoking. So as early as 10th grade, I was already hooked on marijuana, tar, coke, and then cigarette. So that was the beginning of the dark days of my life. And then at that time, it was a bit manageable because I was still at home and abusing the substance, but my parents did not know, because I don't know how how I managed, but I found very creative way, sneaky ways to abuse the substance and still try to hide it. But there were signs. Yeah, there were signs. And at that time, the issue of drug was not as alarming as it is right now. So it took my parents a long time to discover that I was in the substance. So fast forward, I came out of high school and then I ended up in the streets. Then I had to leave my parents' place because my addiction was full bloom, and I was in the streets. So the years from my initiation, the first time I abused, to how long I stayed in the street, it was a period of over 10 years. Yeah, about 10 years. And then when I ended up in the streets, it got really dark because what we used to do to survive, how we used to move about to support the habit, it was terrible. So yeah, man, that's my past. So why in the street? As the years went by, I always fought to not lose my inner self, my inner child, like that part of me. I always fought to keep a little bit of that part of me alive. So I would say my conscience, in as much as the things that I did made me numb, it made me cool. But when I saw people who they myself were in high school together, when I saw them progressing, when I saw my mom's tears, when I would just sit at times and try to reflect on life, I always used to tell myself there is more to life than where I am. So there was a particular time I began to have some strange encounters, and during those times, one of them was when I went to bed one night, and then it was like I was in a trance. It was like I left my body, so I was lying on the bed, and then I could see myself standing over myself. So at that time, my friends that I had around me, they were fighting to revive me. And then in that trance, I heard a voice, and the voice told me that I had to choose. And I had to choose between what I saw like an envelope, brown. I did not see what was in it, but I just knew it contained money and like the Bible. And then the voice told me to choose because my choice was going to decide my fate. And every time I share this part of my story, I always make emphasis on the word reluctantly. It was so reluctant that I chose the Bible. It was like the voice actually strengthened my hands to choose the Bible. And when I chose the Bible, that was how I revived. I came back on this side. And right after that encounter, I got sick. I was at the point of death. So I started to cry out to God. I knew that He was real. As a kid, I had some encounter with God as a kid. I attended Sunday school as a kid. But my sister's death made me to doubt the reality of God. It really broke my entire faith in God. So when I got to that point, I told God that if you're real, then you have to give me the power to leave this thing. So I started to cry out to God, and at that time, I decided to kill most of my friends. My friends would go steal in the night, and they would not come back. And we would hear people talking that they will be the next person. So my life was on the line. I was being targeted, and in the midst of all that was when I began to cry out to God, and He really answered my prayer. He proved to me that He was real, because that morning that I received my transformation, I was so broken. I can still remember it was a gloomy morning for me. It was so cold, and I'm sitting in the ghetto, I'm smoking cigarettes, and then a mentally ill man walks in the ghetto, a crazy man, and he walks to the dump site. And out of everybody that was sitting in the ghetto that morning, he turned and he looked at me and he said, "You, what are you doing here?" And when that man asked me that question, that was it for me. I realized that if a madman can look at me in this state and realize that there is more to me than where I was, it means that I have to make a change. And it was at that moment that I accepted that I surrendered to God. I told him I surrendered, and I went back home. And he gave me the strength. He gave me the strength. That was the turning point. In the first place, when I came back home, people did not believe that I was for real. I remember coming to the church and people were like, "How long John will stay in the army?" People did not believe that my transformation was sincere. Some people said they begin your own Sunday when he man. They mean your own. He's doing this for this. I was not fully welcome, but I knew what had taken place on the inside of me was real. So my dress code, how I dressed, people have problem with it. And then as I grew more in my faith, as I spent more time with God, people still question that it was real. I remember a particular time where at the church, criminals went to steal from the church. Right around the time that I came back home, people went to steal from the church. And then people said that I was the one who did the setup, who told my friends to come to the church to steal. So I faced a lot of criticism. People doubted if it was real, and some of it was enough for me to go back, because I struggled with depression again. I struggled with depression, my temperament. I had to unlearn and relearn. It was like I was starting like all over as a baby, as a child, and it was a difficult process, but I was committed to it, and God really helped me. He saw my commitment, and he saw that I was really sincere. So with the gospel rap side, people I've heard people saying the music, not gospel music, man. I've heard people saying people shouldn't rap in the church. There should not be rap in the church, but I have not allowed it to interfere with the conviction that I have, because the gospel rap thing was not something that I wanted to do. I've always been doing music. I've always been around music. As a child, music was the one thing I've always wanted to do. But when I got my transformation, because it was through the music that I landed into the drug. But when I got my transformation, I just wanted to go back to school, be a regular young man, and just serve God quietly. But then he convicted me. He convicted me really, really, really. So I have never allowed people's opinion to interfere with my conviction, because they were not there when God convicted me to do the music. So yeah, that's how I handle the criticism. Show faith, the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. It has been faith, man. I don't know where I would have been without the faith. And the thing about faith is, it's not about the size of your faith. It's about the object of your faith. It's about who you are putting your faith in. My faith has not been big from the beginning. It was just like the voice of that man that day. It was as if something was being amplified in my ear, and that was what I kept following. It was like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I kept hearing that voice in my ear every time, man. I just trusted the voice that it was God speaking to me through that person. So it has been faith. It is faith. It will always be faith. Without faith, no man can please God. So faith is the center of all of this. It has been faith. To every young man out there, every female out there, man, honestly, I will advise you. There's so much education around right now. We are in an era where information is available. Do some research about the effect of drug. Look around you. You don't have to look far. Look around you and see people that are on the substance, and see how their life is. and then ask yourself, is this what you want for yourself? If you have a vision as a young boy, if you have a vision as a young girl, if you want something out of this life, drug is not your friend. Like, you have to run. You have to run. You have to run from it. You can still be youthful. You can still express your youthfulness without experimenting drugs. There is no guarantee that you are going to come back from that experience. And even if you were to experience it and come back, you are never going to be the same. It's going to scar you for life. So my advice to you is run, man. Run. Enjoy your youthfulness. God has given you youthfulness to enjoy. You are full of life. You're full of strength. Like, enjoy it. Express your youthfulness. Channel that energy some other way, but drug is not your friend. Drug has never been the friend of anyone. Drug will never be the friend of anyone. You have to run. You have to realize that this thing is after my dream. This thing is after my future. This thing is after my soul. And when drug takes over your soul, it's only by the grace of God that you can be delivered. Yeah, so run. The music, it was one day, one friend, I always acknowledge him. Because I was doing secular music, and I too was affected by the music. I was affected by music so much. All the artists that I looked up to were all promoting drug in the music. They were promoting substances. They were promoting alcohol. They were promoting sex. And the more I fed my mind with those music, it opened me up onto wanting to experiment what my idols were telling me. So after I got saved, I knew the power of music. I knew the effect of life and death, like being channeled through the songs, through the lyrics. So when I got saved, I did not want to do music anymore. But then I started to spend time in God's word, because my mind was kind of dull. So somebody told me that you have to read in order to reawaken your mind. So I told myself, what better book to spend time reading than the Bible? It's 66 books. It's not just one book. So I started to read the Bible. I read it the first time from cover to cover, and I did not understand a single thing, but I was committed, so I just kept reading. And as I kept reading the Bible, it started to renew my mind, like the Bible says in the book of Romans, like, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I did not understand what I was doing. So just how water will wash your clothes, that's how the word of God started to renew my mind. So I started reading the Bible, and as I was reading, I'll be getting inspired and I would start writing, but I did not want to record it. So one day, this friend of mine who we went to high school together, and he was doing gospel music. One time when you heard that I had gotten saved, he reached out to me and he was like, bro, we need to connect. So after we connected for a while, I was with him, and then he was like, one day I went to him and he was speaking to me with conviction, but I don't know if he knew what he was saying. He was like, bro, he said, I want to do music in a way that it will reach out to the young people and it will convict them. I really want to share the gospel through music, and he was so sincere, and his soul was in the words that he was saying. He was like, but bro, I have to go to school. My dad wants me to go to school. I'm about to go to China to further my education. And then as he was speaking to me, the Spirit of God was using his words to convict me. The Spirit of God was like, you know what your friend is saying is what you are doing, is what I want you to do, right? You are capable of doing. And that was the turning point of the music. After that, with my friend, one day I'm walking and the Spirit of God gives me Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. And when I read the verse, that was it. That was the beginning of the gospel rap thing. That's where the fire started. Wow, my younger self. I would tell myself, give your life to Christ. From the day you were born, man, like, I wish I had known Jesus from the very beginning. I would tell my younger self, stay in school, I would tell my younger self, spend more time with yourself, because I did not know the importance of being alone and learning yourself and knowing yourself and embracing yourself and loving yourself. I would tell myself, love yourself. You are perfect. Like, you are a masterpiece of art. You don't have to. There is nothing wrong with you. Like, you are God's masterpiece. So that one thing I would tell myself is, know Jesus, bro. I wish I had known him when I was. He has always known me, but I did not know him. So I wish I had a earlier awareness of Jesus. Yeah. For music, I always tell myself that if God, the person who started this music thing, if he tells me drop the mic today, I will drop the mic. If he says continue rapping, I will continue rapping. So for the music, I'm still doing music. I have an album on the way. I have materials for like 2 or 3 more albums already prepared. I'm trusting God to use me to take Christian rap not just across Liberia, but internationally. So my focus is to step outside of Maserati County with Christian rap and spread it all across Liberia, and then trust God to take it outside of Liberia, and to also use Christian rap to share light on the beautiful culture of my country. Liberia has a very unique culture. We are unique people. We are special, and having to share my culture while I'm telling others about Jesus is a blessing. So I want to share my culture, my uniqueness in the gospel, and community-wise, I'm trusting God to run a rehab where artists can have a place to start afresh, but not just a physical rehab, to have a rehab that deals with both the physical aspect of the substance and then the spiritual aspect. So I also want to mentor young people, young men, and tell them the power of your youthfulness, the importance of getting to know your Creator while you are young, and just enjoy the rest of my life, man. That's it. I got my album coming up. I got a couple of events. I have one event on Center Street at the cemetery. I'm trusting God to have an event at the Maserati Central Prison. I want to visit a lot of ghettos around the country, around Maserati County for now, and then drop an album by the grace of God before the end of April, and also a major concert at the end of the year, and yeah.